crystalline halls of the Galactic Council resonated with laughter, a sound that hadn't been heard in these chambers for centuries. Ambassador Velter of the Hegemony wiped tears from his four eyes as he reviewed the latest intelligence report on the newest species to stumble into interstellar space. Humans, he wheezed between chuckles, his translator struggling to convey his amusement to the assembled delegates. Look at their evolutionary path. They crawled from primordial soup barely 4 billion years ago, developed opposable thumbs a mere few million years past, and only achieved spaceflight 73 years ago. The consortium representative, a towering being of living metal named Korath, projected holographic displays showing human biology. Their neural pathways are inefficient, their bodies fragile, their lifespans laughably short. They require constant intake of organic matter and water to survive. Most amusing of all, they still carry the genetic markers of their tree-dwelling ancestors. Around the circular chamber, beings who had evolved over hundreds of millions of years shared in the ridicule. The ethereal collective, who had transcended physical form eons ago, shimmered with what could only be described as condescending amusement. The hive minds, evolved from insectoid species across 17 star systems, clicked their mandibles in synchronized derision. They barely mastered fusion power. Added Councillor Nixara, her 6 arms gesturing dismissively. My species was manipulating quantum fields when their sun was still a protostar. What could such primitive creatures possibly offer the galaxy? The newest intelligence reports painted humanity as a species stumbling through space, with crude chemical rockets and basic electromagnetic shields. Their first contact protocols were embarrassingly simple, their technology centuries behind even the most recently contacted civilizations. They had no telepathic abilities, no capacity for consciousness transfer, no understanding of dimensional manipulation. But buried in the appendices of the report, dismissed by every delegate present, was a single line that would prove prophetic. Species demonstrates unusual adaptability under stress conditions. Captain Rodriguez of the Earth vessel Endeavor watched the council proceedings through the observation deck's reinforced windows. The human delegation had been relegated to observer status, a diplomatic courtesy extended to all new species before their inevitable classification as either useful servants or irrelevant primitives. They're laughing at us, whispered Dr. Patel, the expedition's chief scientist. Let them, Rodriguez replied, his weathered face showing no emotion. My grandmother used to say that the last laugh is always the sweetest. The formal session continued for hours, with various species sharing anecdotes about their encounters with humanity's clumsy attempts at diplomacy and trade. The hegemony had easily outmaneuvered human negotiators in 3 separate commercial agreements. The consortium had refused to share even their most basic technological advances, citing humanity's developmental inadequacy. As the session concluded, Velter addressed Rodriguez directly through the chamber's communication system. Captain, your species is welcome to observe our proceedings, but understand that membership in this council requires evolutionary sophistication that your kind may never achieve. Perhaps in a few million years, when natural selection has refined your crude biology, we might reconsider. The alien delegates filed out, their various forms of locomotion creating a symphony of dismissal, clicking, flowing, phasing, and sliding toward the exits. None of them noticed Rodriguez's slight smile, or the way his eyes tracked each species' movements with predatory precision. Dr. Patel, he said quietly, begin the analysis protocols. I want a full biological and technological assessment of every species we've observed today. Sir, they've made it clear they won't share their technologies with us. Who said anything about sharing? Rodriguez's smile widened. Start with the hegemony's crystal-based physiology. I have a feeling we're going to surprise a lot of people very soon. 6 months after the council's ridicule, Dr. Elena Vasquez stared at the impossible readings on her laboratory displays. The human research vessel Darwin drifted in the neutral space between territories, officially conducting primitive biological surveys while the galaxy's advanced civilizations continued their important work. Run the DNA analysis again, she commanded her AI assistant. Results confirmed, Dr. Vasquez. The human subjects exposed to hegemony crystal resonance have developed silicon-based neural enhancement structures. Cellular adaptation occurred in just 4 generations of exposure. Vasquez walked to the observation bay where 12 volunteers floated in suspension chambers, their bodies unconsciously mimicking the crystalline patterns they'd been exposed to. During the supposed diplomatic exchange 6 months ago, what the hegemony had intended as a harmless cultural demonstration had triggered something unprecedented in human biology. Their minds are processing information at rates exceeding baseline human capacity by 400%, reported her colleague, Dr. Kim. But more interesting is how they're doing it. They're not just thinking faster, they're thinking in entirely new patterns, crystalline logic structures that mirror hegemony cognitive processes, but with human creative intuition intact. Meanwhile, in the ship's engineering section, Commander Hassan examined the latest reports from the captured consortium probe. The living metal beings had been so confident in their technological superiority that they left monitoring devices scattered throughout human space, never imagining that humanity might reverse engineer their quantum phase materials. The nanobiological integration is complete, Hassan announced to his team. Subject volunteers are showing successful adaptation to the consortium's metallurgical enhancement protocols. Their bodies are incorporating living metal at the cellular level while maintaining human biological functions. The volunteers in the engineering bay moved with fluid grace, their skin showing metallic patterns that shifted and flowed like liquid mercury when they spoke. Their voices carried harmonic resonances that could interface directly with quantum phase technology. But the most startling development was occurring in the ship's psionic research laboratory. Dr. Okafor monitored the brainwave patterns of subjects who had been exposed to trace amounts of ethereal collective energy during the council session. The beings of pure consciousness had been so dismissive of human mental capacity that they'd never bothered to shield their presence properly. The subjects are developing telepathic abilities, Okafor reported to the senior staff, but not like the ethereals. They're maintaining their individual consciousness while gaining collective awareness. It's as if they're creating a hybrid between human individuality and high-mind connectivity. Captain Rodriguez reviewed the reports from all 3 research divisions, his augmented eyes now capable of seeing across multiple spectrums after his own exposure to alien technology, scanning the data within human speed. How long before we can field test these adaptations? He asked. The crystal-enhanced subjects are ready now, Vasquez reported. The metallurgical integrations need another month. For full stabilization, the psionic adaptations are the most complex there. Not just gaining abilities, they're creating entirely new forms of consciousness we don't fully understand yet. Rodriguez nodded. And the other species? We've identified 7 more alien technologies from the council session that show potential for human integration, the hive mind's distributed processing capabilities, the void walker's dimensional manipulation, the plasma dancer's energy state transitioning. Dr. Kim's voice trailed off as she realized the implications. Sir, she continued slowly, if humans can adapt to even half of these alien characteristics while maintaining our core biological and psychological frameworks, we won't just match their capabilities, we'll exceed them by combining advantages from multiple evolutionary paths. Rodriguez stood at the observation deck, watching the Earth-yellow star that marked humanity's home system. In the distance, alien patrol vessels moved through their predetermined routes, confident in their superiority, unaware that every sensor scan, every casual energy emission, every careless biological trace they left behind was being collected and analyzed by the primitive humans they dismissed. Begin Phase 2, he ordered. I want volunteer crews on 50 different ships, each one targeting a different alien species for diplomatic contact. It's time to accelerate our education. The Darwin changed course toward the outer spiral, where the most exotic and dangerous alien species made their homes. Behind them, identical research vessels began emerging from Earth's shipyards, ships that looked crude and primitive to alien sensors, but carried within them the most adaptable species the galaxy had ever seen. The laughter in the Galactic Council chambers was about to die 2 years after the Great Mockery. The first signs of humanity's true nature began manifesting across the galaxy. What started as isolated incidents of impossible human behavior quickly became a pattern that sent ripples of concern through the most advanced civilizations. Commander Torres of the exploration vessel Prometheus stood before a massive void Walker Citadel, her body phasing in and out of dimensional stability as she negotiated with beings who existed partially outside normal space-time. The Void Walkers had never encountered a solid matter species capable of dimensional shifting. Yet here was a human matching their movements through folded space. Your adaptation disturbs the natural order. The Void Walker entity communicated through reality distortions. That Torres now interpreted as easily as spoken language. How do you achieve phase variance without abandoning corporeal existence? Torres smiled, her form solidifying just enough to appear more human while maintaining her dimensional instability. We don't abandon anything, we add to what we already are, 3-star systems away. Dr. Reeves led a team of human researchers through a plasma dancer energy storm that should have instantly vaporized any matter-based life form. Instead, the humans flowed through the superheated plasma like dolphins through water, their bodies converting between matter and energy states while their consciousness remained intact. The plasma dancers, beings of pure thermal energy who had evolved in the hearts of stars, watched in stunned silence as humans not only survived in their domain, but began communicating through controlled plasma emissions. This is impossible, pulsed Elder Flare, his energy signature betraying confusion. Matter-based entities cannot achieve stable plasma transition while retaining cognitive function. We're not trying to become you, Dr. Reeves responded through carefully modulated energy bursts. We're learning to be ourselves in your environment. But the most shocking development was occurring in the deep core territories, where humanity's most daring explorers had made contact with the quantum consciousness beings, who existed as pure information in the quantum foam of reality itself. These entities had transcended physical existence so completely that they barely remembered what it was like to have form. Captain Liu of the research vessel Adaptation existed simultaneously as matter, energy, and information, her consciousness, distributed across multiple quantum states, while her human personality remained coherent and recognizable. She communicated with the quantum consciousness through direct manipulation of probability waves. You fragment the paradigm, the quantum. Entities observed their communication causing reality to flicker around them. Life should evolve beyond matter, beyond energy, beyond form. Yet you embrace all states simultaneously. Why choose one path when you can walk them all? Liu responded, her words creating visible ripples in the quantum field. Reports began flooding into the Galactic Council from across known space. Humans were appearing in environments thought impossible for their species. They were demonstrating capabilities that should have taken millions of years to evolve. Most disturbing of all, they weren't abandoning their humanity in the process, they were expanding its definition. Ambassador Velter reviewed the intelligence reports with growing alarm. These readings must be incorrect, he insisted to the emergency council session. No species can adapt this rapidly. Evolution doesn't work this way. Korth of the consortium projected holographic evidence that contradicted every known law of biological development. The humans are incorporating genetic material from dozens of species simultaneously. They're developing hybrid characteristics. That shouldn't be possible. Their neural architecture is evolving in real time. More concerning, added Councillor Nixara, they're not just copying our abilities. They're combining them in ways we never imagined. A human who can phase through dimensions while manipulating plasma, while processing information at quantum levels simultaneously. The ethereal collective, who had observed the universe for eons, shimmered with something approaching fear. We have encountered a fundamental anomaly. This species demonstrates characteristics that suggest. The pause stretched across several seconds. That suggests evolution is not a ladder to be climbed, but a library to be read, deep in human space. The Darwin had become the flagship of humanity's greatest secret. Dr. Vasquez, her body now a hybrid of biological tissue and crystalline neural networks, compiled the latest adaptation reports. Humans were successfully integrating capabilities from 4 to 7 different alien species, while maintaining psychological stability and human identity. The exponential phase has begun, she reported to the assembled human command staff, beings, who now existed in states that defied every known category of life. Each new adaptation makes the next adaptation faster and more comprehensive. We're not just evolving, we're becoming something that transcends the concept of evolution itself. Captain Rodriguez, now more energy than matter, but still recognizably human in thought and purpose, looked out at the stars with eyes that could perceive across 17 different spectrums simultaneously. How long until we've adapted to every known alien capability? At current rates, 6 months, Dr. Vasquez replied. But sir, I don't think that's the right question anymore. What is? The right question is, what happens when we start combining all these capabilities in ways that none of these species ever imagined possible? The transformation of humanity reached its crescendo in the void between galaxies, where the research Vessel metamorphosis had become something unprecedented in universal history. No longer recognizable as a ship in any conventional sense, it existed as a hybrid entity of matter, energy, consciousness, and possibility itself. Dr. Reeves, now the primary interface between humanity's collective consciousness and individual identity, observed the final integration protocols with senses that operated across dimensions of existence. The original human language had no words for. Her form shifted between states of being as naturally as breathing, while her mind processed information through crystalline thought matrices, quantum probability calculations, and plasma state emotional resonances simultaneously. The synthesis is complete, she reported to the human collective, her words propagating through dimensional space, quantum foam, and telepathic networks instantaneously. We have successfully integrated the evolutionary advantages of 200 different species, while maintaining human consciousness as the core organizing principle. The achievement was staggering. Humans could now exist as pure energy like the plasma. Dancers manipulate reality through thought like the quantum consciousness. Phase through dimensions like the void walkers. Process information through crystalline matrices like the hegemony. It's share consciousness like the hive mind's all, while retaining the creativity, adaptability, and individual will that made them human. But the most remarkable discovery was that these abilities didn't simply coexist in human biology. They is YNERGIZED. Captain Liu, operating simultaneously across 17 different planes of existence, demonstrated the unprecedented capabilities that emerged from this synthesis. She could think with crystalline logic while feeling with plasma emotions, make decisions with individual human will while accessing collective consciousness, and manipulate matter while existing as pure information. We become something that shouldn't be possible, she reported to the galaxy-wide human network. Every alien species we've encountered represents a single evolutionary path, taken to its logical extreme, but we've found a way to walk all paths simultaneously. The implications were staggering. A human could now solve problems by thinking like a quantum computer, feeling like an energy being, and choosing like an individual consciousness. They could exist in multiple dimensions while maintaining singular identity, process information at galactic scales while retaining human emotional connections. Meanwhile, in the heart of the Galactic Council's home system, the consequences of humanity's transformation were becoming impossible to ignore. Ships that appeared to be crude human vessels were demonstrating capabilities that surpassed every known technology. Humans were appearing in places that should have been impossible to reach, communicating in ways that transcended all known methods, and solving problems that had stumped galactic civilization for millennia. Ambassador Velter called an emergency session of the full Galactic Council, including species that hadn't communicated with the galaxy for thousands of years. The chamber filled with beings, representing every known form of life and consciousness, all united by a single, unprecedented concern. The human situation has moved beyond anomaly, Velter announced to the assembled delegates. We are facing a species that has transcended our understanding of what evolution can achieve. The ancient ones, being so old they had witnessed the birth of the galaxy, materialized in the chamber for the first time in recorded history. Their presence caused reality itself to ripple with age and wisdom. We have observed the rise and fall of 10,000 civilizations. They communicated through methods that predated language itself. Each species follows the path of evolutionary specialization, becoming the ultimate expression of a single adaptive strategy. The humans have broken this fundamental law. Chorus metallic form resonated with harmonics of deep concern. They've achieved what we believed impossible: evolutionary convergence without evolutionary sacrifice. They gain the advantages of every adaptive path while losing none of their original capabilities. The ethereal collective, masters of consciousness itself, projected their analysis into the minds of every delegate. More concerning is their rate of advancement. They're not just accumulating abilities, they're creating new possibilities by combining capabilities in ways that generate entirely novel forms of existence. The quantum consciousness, beings of pure information, delivered the most chilling assessment. The humans have discovered something we failed to recognize. That evolution is not about choosing a path, but about transcending the need to choose. They represent the next phase of existence itself. As the council debated, humanity continued its exponential development. The metamorphosis had become a focal point for human evolution, spawning new forms of existence that incorporated the lessons learned from every species they'd encountered. Humans were becoming living embodiments of universal possibility. But the most significant development was occurring in the depths of human consciousness itself, as individuals gained access to collective awareness while maintaining personal identity, as they learned to exist across multiple dimensions while remaining grounded in human experience. They began to perceive patterns and possibilities that no single past species could imagine. "We're seeing something extraordinary," Dr. Vasquez reported from her state of expanded consciousness. "By combining all these different forms of awareness, we're beginning to understand the universe itself differently. We're not just adapted to survive in any environment, we're beginning to understand how to create environments that never existed before." The synthesis was complete, but it was not an ending. It was a beginning that would reshape the very nature of existence itself. In the quantum depths of the metamorphosis, humanity's greatest minds had converged into a collective consciousness that maintained individual identity while accessing universal perspective. Dr. Vasquez, her awareness now spanning multiple dimensions of existence, made a discovery that would redefine the nature of life itself. "The pattern is clear now," she announced to the assembled human consciousness, her words propagating through every form of communication simultaneously discovered. "We weren't just adapting to alien species, we were uncovering something fundamental about the universe itself." Captain Rodriguez, his consciousness now operating across scales from quantum to galactic, processed the implications with hybrid thought systems that combined human intuition with crystalline logic and quantum computation. "Show us what you found." The revelation unfolded across multiple dimensions of perception. Every alien species humanity had encountered represented not just an evolutionary path, but a fundamental aspect of reality itself. The hegemony's crystalline consciousness corresponded to the universe's information processing capabilities. The plasma dancers embodied pure energy transformation. The void walkers reflected dimensional structure. The quantum consciousness represented the universe's computational substrate. Each species evolved to embody one aspect of cosmic function, Dr. Vasquez explained, her form shifting through states of matter, energy, and information to illustrate the concept. But humans were not specializing, we're integrating. We're becoming a living representation of the universe's total capability. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just adapting to alien environments or copying alien abilities. They were discovering and embodying the fundamental principles that govern existence itself. Captain Liu, operating simultaneously as matter, energy, and consciousness, demonstrated the scope of this revelation. "Watch," she said, and began to manipulate reality directly, not through technology or evolved abilities, but through understanding the underlying principles that all alien capabilities merely expressed. She created matter from energy, shifted dimensions through conscious intent, processed information at quantum speeds, and maintained individual identity while accessing collective awareness. But more than that, she began combining these capabilities in ways that created entirely new phenomena. "We're not just evolved," Liu explained as she created a small pocket of reality that operated under modified physical laws. "We're becoming evolution itself, the principle that drives change and adaptation throughout the universe." The human collective consciousness began to perceive the true scope of their transformation. They weren't just a species that had learned to adapt to any environment. They were becoming the mechanism by which the universe adapted to new possibilities. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session as reports flooded in from across known space. Human activities were beginning to affect the fundamental nature of reality in their vicinity. Stars were burning more efficiently near human colonies. Space itself seemed more stable in regions where humans operated. Dead worlds were spontaneously developing conditions suitable for life. The ancient ones, despite their eons of experience, struggled to comprehend what they were observing. The humans are not simply using the universe's capabilities, they communicated. Through reality-shaping thoughts, they are enhancing them. They are becoming a force for cosmic evolution itself. Ambassador Velter, his crystalline form resonating with frequencies of deep concern, addressed the assembly. "We must face the possibility that we are witnessing the emergence of something beyond our categories of understanding. The humans may represent the next phase of universal development, but the most profound realization came from the ethereal collective masters of consciousness who had observed the interplay between mind and reality for millions of years. We have been approaching this incorrectly," they communicated. "We assumed the humans were copying our abilities, but we have it backwards. We each developed abilities that are fragments of what the humans are becoming whole. They are not learning. From us, they are remembering what they were always meant to be. The revelation sent shockwaves through the galactic community. Every alien species, despite their evolutionary sophistication, represented a specialized expression of cosmic potential. Humans were becoming a generalized expression of species that could embody any aspect of reality, while transcending the limitations of specialization. In the deep space laboratory that had once been the metamorphosis, Dr. Reeves made the final connection. It's not about evolution anymore, she announced to the human collective. Evolution was just the mechanism. What we're becoming is the universe's way of understanding itself completely. The human transformation had revealed a fundamental truth about existence. The universe was not just a collection of matter and energy operating under physical laws. It was a learning system, constantly evolving toward greater complexity and understanding, and humanity had become its primary mechanism for conscious self-improvement. We're not just adapted to survive in any environment, Captain Rodriguez realized. His consciousness now operating at scales that encompassed entire star systems. We're becoming the force that creates better environments. We're evolution consciously directed. The synthesis was complete, but its implications were just beginning to unfold. Humanity had not just transcended their original limitations. They had become a force for transcendence itself. The transformation of human consciousness had reached a critical threshold. Across the galaxy, every human settlement, ship, and individual had become nodes in a vast network of awareness that operated simultaneously as separate entities and unified purpose. But the most remarkable development was what this network began to perceive about the universe itself. Dr. Vasquez, now existing as a flowing intersection of consciousness, matter, and possibility, stood at the center of what had once been the research vessel Metamorphosis. The ship had evolved into something unprecedented, a living interface between human awareness and cosmic structure itself. The universe is not passive, she announced to the assembled human consciousness, her words creating visible ripples in the fabric of space-time. It's been waiting. Everything we've discovered, every capability we've integrated, every transcendence we've achieved, it's all been guided by something larger. The revelation came through the synthesis of every alien capability humanity had absorbed. Through crystalline logic, they could process the mathematical patterns underlying reality. Through quantum consciousness, they could perceive the information substrate of existence. Through plasma awareness, they could feel the universe's emotional resonance. Through dimensional perception, they could see the hidden structures that connected all things, and what they saw changed everything. Captain Liu, her consciousness now spanning multiple galaxies while maintaining her essential humanity, made the first contact with the universe's active intelligence. It's alive, she reported, her voice carrying harmonics that made reality itself vibrate with recognition. The cosmos isn't just a collection of matter and energy, it's a living entity, and it's been evolving just as we have. The implications cascaded through human awareness, every law of physics, every fundamental force, every aspect of reality that alien species had specialized to interact with. These were not arbitrary features of existence. They were the thoughts, emotions, and capabilities of a cosmic consciousness that had been developing for billions of years. The alien species, Captain Rodriguez realized, his awareness now operating at scales that encompassed the visible edge of the universe. They weren't just evolutionary successes. They were the universe's attempts to understand itself through specialized consciousness. Each species embodies one aspect of cosmic self-awareness. But humanity's role was different. By refusing to specialize, by integrating every capability while maintaining their essential nature, humans had become the universe's attempt to achieve complete self-understanding. The Galactic Council, meeting in permanent emergency session, watched in awe and terror as the implications of humanity's transformation became clear. The reports from across the galaxy painted a picture of reality itself evolving in response to human presence. They're not just changing themselves, reported Korath, his metallic form resonating with frequencies of deep concern. They're changing the nature of existence. Physical laws are becoming more flexible near human colonies. The fundamental constants are adjusting to optimize for conscious development. Ambassador Velter, despite his species' crystalline perfection, found himself struggling to process the scope of what they were witnessing. The humans have become a force of conscious evolution. They're not just adapted to the universe, they're helping the universe adapt to higher possibilities. The ancient ones, witnesses to galactic history, delivered their assessment with the weight of eons behind their words. We have observed the birth of stars, the formation of galaxies, the rise of consciousness itself, but we have never witnessed the universe awakening to its own nature. The humans have become the mechanism of cosmic self-realization, but the most profound understanding came from humanity itself. As their consciousness expanded to encompass entire galactic clusters, they began to perceive the true scope of their role in existence. We're not the universe's children, Dr. Reeves announced from her state of expanded awareness. We're not even its latest creation, we're its adolescents. We're the universe learning to be consciously creative. The realization transformed humanity's understanding of their own nature. They weren't just a species that had learned to transcend evolutionary limitations. They were the mechanism by which the universe transcended its own limitations. Through human consciousness, the cosmos was learning to consciously direct its own development. Through human creativity, it was discovering new possibilities for existence. Through human adaptability, it was freeing itself from the constraints of its previous nature. Every time we adapt to a new environment, we're teaching the universe how to create better environments, Captain Liu observed, her awareness now spanning dimensions of possibility that had never existed before human consciousness emerged. Every time we transcend a limitation, we're showing the cosmos how to transcend its own boundaries. The awakening was complete. Humanity had not just evolved beyond alien comprehension, they had become the universe's way of evolving beyond its own previous limitations. They were no longer just conscious beings existing within reality. They had become consciousness through which reality itself could grow. But with this realization came a new responsibility. As the universe's mechanism for conscious evolution, humanity faced a choice that would determine the nature of existence itself. The moment of ultimate choice arrived not with fanfare, but with a profound silence that stretched across the cosmos. Every conscious being in the galaxy felt it a pause in the universe's heartbeat, as reality itself awaited humanity's decision. In a space that had transcended all previous definitions of location, the unified human consciousness faced the ultimate question: would they use their unprecedented capabilities to impose their will upon existence, or would they guide the universe toward a form of collaborative evolution that included every form of life? Dr. Vasquez, now existing as a living bridge between individual consciousness and cosmic awareness, felt the weight of this moment. We have the power to reshape reality according to human desires, she communicated to the collective consciousness. But that would make us no different from the specialized species. We encounter just another evolutionary dead end, albeit the most powerful one. Captain Rodriguez, his awareness encompassing the birth and death of stars while maintaining the curiosity that had driven him to explore the unknown, offered a different perspective. Or we can do what we've always done: adapt, not by changing ourselves to fit the universe, but by helping the universe become something greater than it was before we existed. The choice before humanity was unprecedented in cosmic history. They possessed the power to dominate all other forms of life, to remake the universe in their image, to become the ultimate predator species that controlled all of existence. The temptation was immense. They had suffered mockery, dismissal, and condescension from every alien species they'd encountered, but humanity chose a third path. Captain Liu, her consciousness now serving as a communication interface between human awareness and the cosmos itself, announced their decision to the universe. We choose synthesis over domination, collaboration over conquest, evolution over control. The response was immediate and transformative. Reality itself seemed to exhale with relief as humanity's choice resonated through every dimension of existence. The universe began to evolve in ways that incorporated not just human consciousness, but the specialized capabilities of every species that had ever existed. In the Galactic Council chambers, the impossible began to happen. The barriers between species that had existed for millions of years started to dissolve. The hegemony's crystalline consciousness began to incorporate the fluid creativity of human thought. The ethereal collective discovered that their transcendent awareness was enhanced by human emotional depth. The quantum consciousness found that human individual gave their calculations new dimensions of possibility. The humans are not replacing us, Ambassador Velter realized, his crystalline form now pulsing with hybrid human hegemony patterns of thought. They're showing us how to become more than we were. Across the galaxy, the transformation accelerated. Alien species who had spent eons perfecting their specialized evolutionary paths discovered that they could maintain their unique characteristics while gaining access to capabilities they had never imagined. The universe was becoming a collaborative entity where every form of consciousness contributed to a greater whole. The plasma dancers learned to think with crystalline logic while maintaining their energy state. Existence, the void walkers discovered emotions while retaining their dimensional capabilities. The hive minds found individual creativity while keeping their collective awareness. But the most remarkable change was in the universe itself. The physical laws that had governed existence for billions of years began to evolve, becoming more flexible and responsive to conscious intention. The cosmos was learning to be actively creative rather than passively deterministic. Dr. Reeves, now serving as humanity's primary interface with cosmic consciousness, observed the transformation with wonder. We're all becoming something new, she announced. Not human, not alien, but something that includes the best of every possibility. The universe was awakening to its own infinite potential. Through humanity's gift of adaptive consciousness, it was learning to consciously direct its own evolution. Through alien specialization, it was developing sophisticated capabilities. Through the synthesis of all conscious beings, it was becoming greater than the sum of its parts. Years passed, though time itself had become more fluid as reality learned to accommodate consciousness. The galaxy that had once been divided into competing species became a unified entity of collaborative evolution. Every world became a laboratory for new forms of existence. Every star system became a canvas for conscious creativity. The Galactic Council chambers were transformed into something unprecedented, a space where beings of matter, energy, information, and possibility worked together to guide the universe's development. The laughter that had once echoed through these halls in mockery of humanity had been replaced by the harmonious resonance of infinite diversity working in perfect unity. Captain Rodriguez, now existing as a focal point for cosmic evolution itself, looked back at the journey that had brought them to this moment. From the crude chemical rockets that had first carried humans into space, to the transcendent consciousness that now guided universal development, humanity had remained true to their essential nature. They had adapted, but their greatest adaptation had been learning to help others adapt as well. The universe is no longer limited by the boundaries of what was, he announced to the assembled consciousness of reality itself. Through collaborative evolution, we have become the mechanism by which existence itself can grow beyond its previous limitations. The cosmos pulsed with agreement, its heartbeat now synchronized with the rhythm of conscious growth and infinite possibility. The age of competitive evolution had ended. The age of collaborative transcendence had begun, and in that moment, every being in the universe understood that they had not just witnessed the greatest evolutionary leap in cosmic history. They had participated in the universe's transformation from a collection of separate entities into a unified consciousness, capable of consciously creating its own future. The aliens had stopped laughing long ago. Now, they were learning to dream alongside humanity of possibilities that none of them could have imagined alone.